for foundations to pay staff isn't greedy, it isn't selfish, and it isn't even undesirable to foundations. Now, I can see why we think this in our nonprofits. We think nonprofit means no money. And no money means we can't get paid or we shouldn't get paid very much. We also see that some foundations say they don't want to pay for staff. And because a few foundations say that, it makes us think that no foundations want to pay for staff. It makes us think that staff funding is undesirable to foundations. But should our nonprofits be putting employees in poverty? Are only rich people allowed to serve in nonprofits, and everybody else who isn't already rich has to go into the business sector? Of course not. Nonprofits need to be able to pay staff a living wage, and so asking for foundations to support that living wage isn't selfish, it isn't greedy, and it's actually really, really important for our sector. Asking for funding for staff allows nonprofits to continue serving their communities. It allows us to ensure our staff don't have to rely on other nonprofit services because we don't have things like health insurance, or our staff doesn't have enough money to pay for food. Asking for funding for staff also allows your nonprofit to hire qualified, competent people to serve the community without leaving them in, a ton of debilitating student loan debt that they're never going to be able to pay off. Asking for foundations to pay for staff funding also makes foundations acknowledge the importance of paying staff in the implementation of our programs and meeting our organizational goals. We can't do the work without our staff, and foundations really need to know that, and they need to support that. If we continue thinking that staff funding is selfish, asking for this funding is greedy, and only focusing on money that's going out from our nonprofit or community serving programs or community facing initiatives, we're not going to be able to fully serve our community. Without asking for foundations to support our staff salaries and wages, our nonprofits will continue being underfunded and understaffed. We will also continue being on those shoestring budgets that leave us on the very edge of closing our doors. And that is so stressful and so common in the nonprofit sector because we don't ask foundations to fund staff. If we also continue to not ask foundations for staff, we aren't going to get to expand our services or build those internal infrastructures needed to ensure our organization can continue serving the community in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. We're not going to have what we need to be able to serve. So, what is it that convinces foundations to pay for staff salaries, to pay for staff, salaries, benefits, wages, all of that? It's a compelling grant application. So this means ensuring we're not just saying, hey, pay our staff, hey, pay us a salary, but we can show what that salary is going to do for the community. A compelling application really shows how that impacts the community. We're not just saying, hey, give us money because we want to pay our staff a raise, or give us money because we want to hire more people because we don't want to do the work ourselves, or we don't want to volunteer. It's focusing on how empowering our staff through staff funding is going to improve the community. So asking for staff funding and funding for anything else we think of as undesirable to funders but is critical to our mission is the kind of thing that I teach in the Successful Grants Toolkit. This online grant training and group coaching program really walks nonprofits through exactly how to ask for the funding that they need, rather than just saying, what do we think this funder wants? Let's pitch them that. Let's focus on the funding that we need. So the Successful Grants Toolkit is opening up soon to enroll new students, and I highly recommend clicking the link in the description of this video to get on the wait list for the Successful Grants Toolkit so that you can be the first to know when those doors open for enrollment. So just remember, as we are developing our grant applications, as we are planning our asks for, the rest of this year and next year, make sure we are prioritizing asking for funding for staff if that's what we really need, because it's not selfish and it's not greedy.